All right, Kenman here. Today is die project number 30, round 2, fight. Yes, we have the Kizer LP. It's right here. I'm going to start before I start. Here are the scales. In they go. First thing we want to do is make sure there are no air bubbles. As you can see, we're doing orange today. No air bubbles because the air bubbles are preventing dye from sitting in that spot. We are good to go. This dye is nice and hot. I have a liquid RIT dye. I've tried the synthetics, I've tried the regulars, I've tried all the different RITs and a few other poly dyes and things, and they all work about the same. If anyone has any results that vary from specific ones that they can put some insight in, that'd be great. But I've noticed basically all the different liquid and powder dyes that I've tried have all worked about the same. I noticed that the powder does not dissolve as well, so sometimes you get some more chunks. And when you have chunks, those chunks are like more concentrated areas of dye. Therefore, that section can be darker, or you can get little splotches and stuff. But if you're careful, you make sure that it's mixed thoroughly and stuff, you won't have that problem. But I found that the liquid dye tends to be the easiest. It just dissolves. You got liquid. I put about 2 ounces of the dye with about 24 ounces of water. And then I can save that, or you can save it in a jar and continue to use it over and over again. So for a few dollars, you get yourself a color, and you can reuse it and reuse it as much as you want. Pretty fun stuff. I'm going to put the Kizer out of our way for a little while here. And we'll move in some knives that we've done already. I am going to shimmy away from that. Actually, I'm going to turn it down just a little bit more. It's almost kind of boiling there. Here are a bunch of knives that we have already done. Let's look at a couple orange ones. This is the Sencut Fantara. I purposely left this in for a very short amount of time. I wanted to get that kind of see-through quality. You can kind of see the liner underneath there. I think that looks cool. And so this one I purposely did with that really light orange, kind of peachy kind of a shade, versus the Brazoria I did. It does have black liner, so the black's going to make it look darker. But I left this in longer to get a good, nice, solid, dark orange. You can kind of see right there where there's no liner on that corner. It still has a nice dark color. We're going to go for something kind of like that, maybe even a little bit darker with this one today. I did this Migron Talisman. This was in a sand. It was kind of like this carve where it's a G10, and it started off with a sand color. So when you do dye, you can only go darker, or you can only add the dye to the color that already exists. So because that sand was already there, it's going to end up affecting that orange and making it a little bit more dull. If we look at a couple of red ones, for example, see these two right here. This is, wait a minute, these were both white. This is a different dye. My bad. Anyway, different reds, you get different shades. You leave them in for a certain amount of time. You can make them a little bit darker. If one is white, it's going to give you a brighter red. And if one is like these, were the jade, and so they're going to give you a more dull red. I did mix a few different colors of reds. That's how I did get this darker one versus the lighter ones. But what your underlying color basically is going to affect the final one. Like I have this gray Migron, like the other Talisman. And that gray, I'm going to try to do like a blue or a green, and that'll kind of mix with those and give a darker shade. Should look pretty good. Let's shimmy over here and see where we are at. Sometimes the color, it does not need to sit in there for a super long time. See, look, we're actually getting a real nice orange here. When the dye is sitting on it, like right here, it's thicker. And so it's going to look a little bit darker than it actually is. when you take it and we'll rinse it in water, that'll rinse off that extra amount and you'll get more of a true color. So they look a little bit darker when you sneak a peek, but you can kind of tell that it is gonna get real dark. It's darkening up nicely. I'm excited about it. It's a VV Vision FG in the red. This was only in that red dye for 1 minute, and we got this red out of it. So sometimes a color can sit for for a very short amount of time and do a lot of work, versus some. Which one did I leave in a long time? This one, the Thalia, I actually dyed several times trying to get this more green. It was also a gray color, so that gray is going to affect, and that's why we ended up with this really dark. It kind of has a greenish hue, sort of, to an extent. Green tends to, I have struggled with it a little bit. This Migron I also did at the same time. It has a little bit more of a green, blue-green kind of shade to it. I was able, like this one was yellow that I left in too long that ended up kind of turning green. I had a couple others, which I have sold. Some of these, a lot of these are available. I don't need to sell them, but I had some people that were interested in them, and I like doing custom stuff. So if it's something that I can do and someone else is interested in having in their life, I want to make that available to them. I marked them all at prices under what they would retail for. I'm not trying to make any money here. I'm literally just going to use the money to buy more knives and more stuff for the channel. Like I said, I don't need to sell them. I love all these knives. I could gladly keep them all. But if some people are interested in them, I'm a community type of person, and I would like to, be able to give back and share my experience and things that I've done, and something that I can always make more, and I want to buy more knives and get more stuff, which I'm going to do regardless, or irregardless, or both, or I don't know. I am going to buy more knives, so don't worry about that. Here is a water bath. We're going to give it a little rinse and see where we are at. All right, so see how dark it is right there like that? And we're going to go straight over into this water, and the water is going to immediately neutralize it. Ooh. Give it a little rinse and see now how it's lighter than it was. So we want to go back in for another couple of minutes, because what I want is darker than this. Is my goal with these today. So we're going to go back in. Sorry if I'm slightly off camera there. Make sure I've got no air bubbles. You don't have to worry about air bubbles as much after you've already done it, because once it's fully wet, obviously. Okay, rinse my hands off. You want to be very careful about dye, because it's obviously dye, but it's really sneaky. If a dot of that were to splash on your hand right here and you didn't notice, and you rub your cheek or rub your pants or something, that spot is going to permanently stain whatever it is you're putting it on that you do not want stained. Things that you want to dye, it can take a while. Things you do not want to dye will dye very quickly. It's just a rule. Oop, that's a little too much. You can have it boiling, but it's not necessary. Pretty much all these dyes you've seen that I've done, none of them were fully boiling. They were close to boiling. Heat activates the dye, makes it work faster. You could do it at room temperature, but it would take a significant longer. If we laid it in there and just let it sit overnight, it would do something at room temperature. But that heat activates it, makes it go quicker. Here is where we are with knives for the project that we have not taken apart or prepared for it yet. They're all kind of new ones that I've had them for a while. This is the most recent one, that Kubi Thalia. This is my third. God, why did I call this a Thalia again? Titius. I have 3 of them now. I got one in Ultim that looks really, really cool. That one I'm going to keep forever. I think it's really fantastic. Ultim is neat, and I think a larger knife is something that can showcase the style and the unique qualities and see-throughness of Ultim. And so because I have that one's my main, and I got this one, and I've got this other red one. So this one is up for sale if someone is interested in it. And this one is on deck to get dyed at some point. Got a couple of send cuts, this nice big glide strike. What color do you want to see these knives right here? We haven't made any final decisions yet, so if you give me the right input, I could follow along and be like, yep, I like it. This is the send cuts. I keep forgetting the name of this one. It'll come back to me. What is the name of this one? Stink. I'll remember. Yep, we already looked at the Migron. Here is that Kubi carve. Very cool. What color would I like to see this? These little facets are going to pop. They're going to look really neat when we put some more color on this. The Civivi Cogent, I'm thinking really dark red on this one. I know I've done several with dark red, but I like red. I think this with these details on there are going to look super cool. Convince me otherwise. Ooh, just such a smooth, fun knife. I didn't know anything about this. All of a sudden I saw it was on sale a few months ago or whatever, and man, what a great knife. I can't wait to carry it more. A lot of these I don't really get to carry, and when they're you get on the project, they kind of sit there in piles on the table waiting for work to be done with them. What is the name of that send cut? Man, I'm losing my mind. Yeah, all your children. Got to remember the names of your children, Dad. All right, what are we looking at here? It's getting good. Getting good. We're at 11 minutes. Got a little, for those that are just tuning in now, I got a bucket full of pee. Although you can't jump in. Could you jump in the middle of the video? Maybe someone would get in and fast forward right away, trying to see if they could find the best spot to be. I don't know. All right, we're doing it. I think. Yep. I'm going to turn the dye off. Get that heat cooling down. We do not need that anymore. I'm going to start clearing some space over here. While I let these let this dye finish neutralizing, and kind of wipe it off here real quick. Get my towels ready. Sorry, I'm going to set that up off top camera real quick. It's very, all right, that's, I'll show you in a second here. Get this pea water out of our world. Dry my hands off. I'm going to pull these back down. Okay, here we are. Dye project number 30. I know 15 is still floating around out there. I was experimenting with some other stuff. It did not work well. But breakthroughs. I've been putting it off because I got sidetracked with all these other projects and stuff that I'm doing with the channel. I will get back to 15 soon. Hopefully this next idea that I have will make it work a little bit better and we'll be able to get some results. I was trying to do some marble techniques and something other than just the standard dyes that we've been doing. And it didn't really go all that well. Had several failures already. And that's fine. That's what this is all about. It's a project. It's a experiment to kind of learn what is achievable and what can be done. Okay, let's move this over. Now we want to make sure these are really dry. I'm going to trade spots with myself here. But yeah, when we put this back together, any moisture that would be sitting in a spot would just be an area that could cause some type of corrosion or something in the future. So I want to make sure that we get them nice and dry. You can see all the little colors that are developing on this towel from several dye projects. I was talking with someone that they had some problems where they were getting some bleeding. See, it looks like it's like kind of bleeding right now. But they wiped it off with alcohol like later. And I think that, the thing is alcohol is strong. And so I honestly think anything that's got dye in it putting alcohol on it might make some of that, you know, kind of pull and pull up a little bit. So that's almost understandable. But I have definitely carried several of these around in my pocket, and I've kind of looked at that section of the pocket, like where it goes in and out, and it's rubbing a lot. It's like, am I getting any colors? Is it starting to turn red from one of them or something like that? I haven't really noticed anything. I haven't really noticed any bleeding or anything like that. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I haven't really noticed any. And I have definitely been carrying some of these around. So there's that. But I know in life, doesn't matter what I do and my rates of success and failures, someone else can try it and get different rates of success and failures. Doesn't mean either of them, or, you know, it's just the way that life is. It's interesting. To get totally sidetracked, I like keeping fish. I have a lot of fish tanks. I actually have over 30 set up right now. But sidestep. But with that is, I used to be in that industry, and people would come in and they never had an aquarium before, and I'd talk to them about it. And basically I would tell them, or one of the things that I would mention would be, if you were to buy like 2 tanks, exact same tank, and put them side by side in a room, exact same temperature, exact same light, exact same type of filter, exact same setup. Okay? Get them going, and then go and buy the exact same set of fish. Couple of these, couple of these, couple of these, or whatever, and put them in there. And what'll happen is you have the exact same setup twice, and you'll have completely different results and completely different environments. And one of them will thrive in this type of plant, and another one will, these fish will kill these fish, or the other one, these fish will all get along. And that's what's neat about it, is you just never know exactly what'll happen. Each setup and each interaction is unique, and each fish has its own attitude and style. And so you get one that's nice and one that's just mean as can be. Anyway, here we are. Let's put this back together. 17 minutes. Holy crap. All right. Try to set yourself up for some success. There is a captive pivot. There is a little D line on the bottom of this hole right here. So we're going to start with this side. So I'm going to put this scale on the bottom there. And then we're going to go ahead and slide that through there. Put this pin back. I always struggle with that pin falling off as we're trying to put it together. Don't jinx it. Okay. Bearing number 1. Blade. Bearings number 2. I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. Try to make it a little easier on myself. I don't know what the best way will be, but we are going to find out. Clickety clack. Oh, that's excellent. Don't jinx it. We're not there yet. Okay. So, this Kizer LP, when I had it before I took it apart, it was very, this one with the magnet. Sorry, I'm gonna grab the one that doesn't have a magnet. Sometimes magnets help. Sometimes they get in the way. Anyway, this Kizer LP, what I was saying, it was very smooth. It was incredibly smooth. Great action on it. All right, that was the T8. I believe everything else on this one was T6. So my pocket clip's going on the other side. So this one I can do. And when you put a knife back together, you have to be cautious to get the blade centered nicely. So you want to put it together slow, take your time, because And you can tighten it down, pay attention to what you're doing, and you can just get it centered as you do it, and you're good to go. Otherwise, if you do get it together and it isn't centered right, you can loosen it back up. There's techniques to kind of loosen it and retighten it down and get it where you want it. So it's not the end of the world if you do not get her centered right away. Okay, so now my technique is I get everything on there. I'm going to put the pocket clip on quick. Okay. Nice, they got pocket clip for both sides, lefties and righties. I am a lefty, so I appreciate it. See, now is when we want the magnet, but this one does not have. Or you just do that. Let gravity work with you. Okay, so what I do is I usually will then finalize by tightening the pivot down all the way, and it'll push the blade a little further that way than you want it to be, which is good, because when you loosen it, then it'll bring it to center. Then we're going to go ahead and tighten everything else down. I like to try to evenly tighten both sides rather than cranking one side fully down, just in case if you kind of tighten them evenly, I feel that then you have the most opportunity to have an equal amount of threads going in both sides, and maybe I'm totally wrong and it's unnecessary, but I feel like if you go back and forth and you tighten it evenly, it's just a little bit more even torque. I don't know. Everybody has their little things. Someone could say, yeah, Kenman, that's completely unnecessary. Just crank it down, and they're both going to crank all the way into where they need to be. Try not to strip these things because they're stinking little T6s. Okay, now we're going to loosen this up just a little. Looks like that blade is in the center. And just tighten it down just a little bit more. Still centered. Oh, yeah. There it is. Oh, I don't have my fancy leather. We're just going to go slightly stained towel to finish it off. Okay, Kizer LP in orange. Wow. There you go. That is a pretty good representation of what I'm seeing with my eyes. See how if it's a little bit whiter if I hold it like this, hold it right about there. That is what it kind of looks like in person. What's everyone think? Kizer LP finished, die project number 30 in the books here. Let's give it some tests. Ooh, the action on this thing. Look at this. Pow. Kizer makes some great stuff. I've opened several recently. If you do not have anything from Kizer and you are interested in a new knife, I would, what do we call that? Boom. You go like that as a lefty, and then you turn to close it, and it pops back open. Boom. Got to get it far enough so that you can get it to drop. Okay, so let's check this out. Yeah. That's another thing, right when you put it back together, you do it a few times, you're going to need to kind of adjust it, tighten it back up a little. Blade is centered. Now it's solid. And it drops all right. Oops, that was quick. All right, we're going on here. I can sit here and play with knives all day. We're almost at 25 minutes. We did it. Die project number 30. Kizer LP. Fantastic knife. Looks great. Add it to the die project final list. Excellent stuff. That is going to be it for today. If you enjoy what you see, please hit that like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Helps me out, and I really appreciate it. Stay sharp. We'll see you soon.